We're joined now by Jim Nantz. Jim, welcome. How are you? Good morning.
I'm well, thank you, Mike. It's going to 100% of the country.
Oh, it is. It's everybody sees it. Okay.
Yes, because Oakland, San Diego was also.
Oh, that's right. It's moved. That's right.
Of course, got moved to late, so everybody gets the game, and obviously there's a lot on the line here from the Cowboys' perspective because this is a team that's won its 2 home games, lost its 2 road games, and people are tired of alternating wins and losses. That's kind of been the story the last couple of years, and they're ready for a kind of a destiny-changing victory, if that's what you would call it today, if they could beat the explosive Denver Broncos, who seem to be hell-bent on trying to make their own mark on history with at the quarter pole putting up numbers that are setting records every week.
Amazing stuff. And, Peyton Manning well. You spend a lot of time with him. I wonder if he's even surprised that he has gotten back to this level. And this might be a level that he'd never even reached before. I mean, this week, Jason Garrett said he thought that on video that he was playing a position better than anybody's ever played it in history. So, I mean, that's pretty high praise from a coach and a former quarterback. So, I mean, Manning maybe even reaching new heights at this stage of his career.
Well, he won't look back. It's kind of not the way he's operating these days. It's all looking forward. He's such a serial preparer for every game, and he wants to look straight ahead. Of course, we meet with the home teams on Fridays, the visiting teams on Saturdays. So we were with Peyton last night, and all business, and very much able to again break down every last little detail about what he expects in the game and what he's going to face, and he just really won't try to put it in perspective or compare it to the past, but it's hard to imagine anybody playing any better at the position. I will say this. There's definitely more velocity on his passes than there was a year ago. I heard that before the Giants-Denver game, which we broadcast. I heard that from guys on both sides of the ball. They were seeing that on film. The Giants were. Some of the receivers for the Broncos were telling us that the passes aren't the same as a year ago. And now, last night we met with Chris Harris, who's been quite a find for the Broncos. Came out as a undrafted free agent out of Kansas, and he's going to play a lot here today, as he does every week. And he says in practice every day, he's pretty much matched up against Wes Welker when the number 1 defense goes against the number 1 offense. He cannot believe how much crisper the passes are from Peyton from a year ago, just going against him in practice every day. So it's a tremendous difference.
All right, the Cowboys and Tony Romo, always a topic. People have waited a long time for them to do something. And I think he's taken too much of the brunt because I don't think the Cowboys have ever put a complete team around him, and I don't think they have again this year. Now, his numbers are good. I mean, he hasn't been perfect. I thought he made some big mistakes in the Kansas City game, but his numbers are there. He's a very dangerous performer. I mean, no quarterback would have a problem with the numbers he's put up this season, but there's still always that inconsistency and the habit of the big mistake. What do you find with Romo?
I think he's been a lightning rod guy for whatever reason ever since he started playing for Coach Parcells. Initially, Bill's first got to give him a chance. And, this year, the guy's thrown 8 touchdowns and 1 interception. Like you said, the numbers are good. Last year, he threw a dreadful pass on the last week of the regular season against Washington. And they had a chance to win and get in the playoffs. But they would have been, without him, you're probably talking like a 6-10, 5-11 team. The guy threw for 4,900 yards last year.
No, he's a very productive
He had no line.
Yes.
He had no line. I think the big story to watch with Dallas and why I think they're different than previous years. They're so much better on the offensive line. Last year, I mentioned, he threw for almost 5,000 yards, running for his life as soon as the ball was snapped to him. It's not the same case this year. Particularly the interior of the offensive line. And they got Brian Waters to come out of retirement, and he's one of the great guards we've had of this generation.
Yep.
And of course they drafted the center Frederick in the first round. They've developed a free agent Leary at left guard, and the middle of that line is significantly better. Tony's getting more time. The running game is there, except for that Kansas City game. They were completely shut down. DeMarco Murray had nothing to speak of against 25 yards rushing against Kansas City. But other than that, the offense has been performing at a pretty high rate. I know they got blanked in the second half last week against San Diego. I do think they're going to play well today. I really do.
Well, the Cowboys secondary is also, there's two big problems have been their secondary and their offensive line. You just noted the offensive line, which had to improve, and I think he's never played behind a good one. And I think that goes all the way back to Bill. I think they've never had fixed that offensive line.
Yep.
Right. I don't think there's any question. But their secondary is their other big issue. And not only that, they're a little talky. And for them to be a little talky this week is dangerous. Now, I would think Kiffin will play this conservatively. I don't think they'll probably try to make him come the long field and see what they can do and not take too many chances. I would think that'd be the way they probably play against them, right?
Well, I think that one thing, and I know that some people pointed out this week, including Tony Dungy, is that this is the defense that really Peyton went against every day in practice in Indianapolis.
Absolutely.
So there aren't a whole lot of secrets, and we all know this guy's. He's able to step up to the line and instantly find the weak spot in the defense. They're going to move the ball. There's no question about it. Can Dallas force some turnovers? The Cowboys made a couple of mentions to the fact that the last time they played, Jason had just taken over for Wade Phillips. It was his fourth game back, and they played up at Indianapolis, and it was a good Indianapolis team, a team that went on to play the Saints in the Super Bowl, and they beat them up there. That was a Dallas team that started off like 1-6 or 1-7, and they beat them in overtime on the road. Now, granted, different cast of characters by and large, but Garrett was around, Romo was, some of these guys were around. They forced that day 4 Manning interceptions, and I think that they've just emphasized to this team. There'll be a lot of people think that we can't compete with them, but I think another thing you got to remember here, Mike, this is the second road game of the year for Denver. They've won 3 of those 4 at home, and obviously won 15 regular season games in a row. But it's a different animal on the road.